My name is Aiden, and I've been driving for Uber for 3 years now. It pays the bills while I finish my business degree, the same degree my father never got to complete. But on a cold Tuesday evening in November, I picked up a passenger who would change everything. I pulled up to the address and an old man shuffled toward my car. He had to be in his 70s, wearing an expensive suit that screamed money. He climbed into the back seat, and I glanced at him through the rearview mirror. "Good evening, sir. Heading to the Riverside Country Club?" I asked. He nodded, but he kept staring at my face. His eyes narrowed, studying me like I was a puzzle he couldn't solve. "Do I know you from somewhere?" he finally asked. My blood ran cold. I knew exactly who he was, but he didn't recognize me. I was only 8 years old the last time Martin Crawford saw me, at my parents' funeral. "I don't think so, sir," I said, keeping my voice steady. "Common face, I guess." No, there's something familiar about you. What's your name?" "Aiden," I replied. His face went pale. "Aiden what?" "Aiden Mitchell," I said, watching him in the mirror. He sat back hard against the seat. "Mitchell, dear God." "You remember now, don't you, Mr. Crawford?" I said quietly. You're David and Sarah Mitchell's son," he whispered. "That's right, and you're the man who destroyed them." He started to speak, but I cut him off. "Please don't insult me by pretending you don't know what I'm talking about," I said. "My parents trusted you. They made you a partner in their company, and you stole everything from them." "That's not—" "Listen, son, that was business. Business!" I gripped the steering wheel tighter. "You forged documents. You transferred their patents to yourself. You forced them out of the company they built from nothing." "Your parents were going to run that company into the ground," he said, his voice gaining strength. "I saved it. You saved it." I laughed bitterly. "Is that what you tell yourself? My father had a heart attack 6 months after you betrayed him. My mother died of cancer 2 years later. They couldn't afford proper treatment because you took everything. Their business, their savings, their dignity. I'm sorry about your parents, but what? You're sorry they died, but you're not sorry you killed them? Because that's what you did, Mr. Crawford. You might as well have pulled the trigger yourself." He leaned forward. "Look, I understand you're upset, but this was 20 years ago. There's nothing to be done about it now." 20 years, I repeated. "You've lived in mansions while I grew up in a one-bedroom apartment with my grandmother. You've been playing golf at country clubs while I've been driving strangers around to pay for college. Life isn't fair, son. I made tough business decisions. That's how the world works." I pulled up to the country club entrance. "We're here." He opened the door, then paused. "Aiden, I really am sorry about your parents, but you need to let this go. Move on with your life." "Oh, I'm going to move on," I said, "right after I take back everything you stole." He laughed, actually laughed. "Good luck with that. You have no proof, no case, nothing. It was 2 decades ago." "We'll see about that, Mr. Crawford. Enjoy your evening." He shook his head and walked away. I watched him go, my hands trembling. For 20 years, I dreamed of finding him, confronting him, and now I had. The next morning, I called my sister Emma. She was 3 years older than me and remembered our parents better than I did. "Emma, you're not going to believe who got in my Uber last night," I said. "Who?" "Martin Crawford." Silence. Then, "Are you serious?" "Dead serious." He didn't recognize me at first, but when I told him my name, he knew exactly who I was. "Oh my God, Aiden, what did you say to him?" "I told him I knew what he did. And I told him I'm going to get back everything he stole from Mom and Dad." "How?" Emma asked. "It's been 20 years. I don't know yet, but I'm going to figure it out." "Do you still have Dad's boxes from the storage unit?" "Yeah, they're in my garage. I never threw them away. I couldn't." "Can I come look through them tonight?" "Of course, Aiden, be careful, okay? Crawford is powerful. He has lawyers and money and I have the truth," I interrupted. "That has to count for something." That evening, Emma and I sat in her garage, surrounded by cardboard boxes filled with our father's papers. We found contracts, emails, financial statements, everything documenting the partnership between David Mitchell and Martin Crawford. "Look at this," Emma said, holding up a folder. "These are the original patent documents. Dad's signature is on all of them." "And here's the transfer agreement," I said, scanning through pages. "But wait, this doesn't look like Dad's signature." Emma came over and looked. "You're right, it's similar, but the loops are different. And look at the date. This was signed a week after Dad was in the hospital with pneumonia. I remember because I was with him every day. There's no way he could have gone to a lawyer's office and signed this." "He forged it," I breathed. "Crawford forged Dad's signature to transfer the patents." "We need a lawyer," Emma said. "A good one." The next day, I met with Jessica Chen, a lawyer who specialized in corporate fraud. I brought all the documents we'd found. This is interesting, she said, examining the transfer agreement. You're right, this signature appears to be forged, but proving it after 20 years will be challenging. What do we need? I asked. We need a handwriting expert to verify the forgery. We also need to establish a timeline showing your father couldn't have signed this. Medical records would help. And we need to investigate Crawford's finances from that time. See if there's a pattern of fraudulent activity. Can you help us? I can, she said. But I need to be honest. This will be expensive, and there's no guarantee we'll win. What if we make him confess? I suggested. Jessica raised an eyebrow. How? He doesn't know about these documents. What if I meet with him again, tell him I have evidence, and record him? If he admits to the forgery, that's our case. That's risky, and depending on state recording laws, I live in a one-party consent state, I said. I can legally record any conversation I'm part of. Jessica nodded slowly. If you can get him to admit what he did on tape, yes, that would be powerful evidence. But be careful. Men like Crawford don't confess easily. Leave that to me, I said. I spent a week planning my approach. Finally, I sent Crawford a message through the Uber app. Mr. Crawford, I found my father's documents. We need to talk. Meet me at Riverside Park tomorrow at 2 p.m. or I'm going to the police. He responded within an hour. Fine. I arrived early and set up my phone to record audio. At 2 p.m. exactly, Crawford appeared, looking annoyed. What do you want, Aiden? He demanded. I want you to tell me the truth, I said calmly. I found the partnership documents. I found the patent transfers. And I found proof that my father didn't sign those transfer agreements. His expression didn't change. You're bluffing. Am I? My father was hospitalized with pneumonia the week these documents were allegedly signed. He was on oxygen, barely conscious. But somehow he made it to a lawyer's office and signed away his life's work? Does that make sense to you? Crawford's jaw tightened. Lots of documents get signed in hospitals. Not this one. Want to know how I know? Because I have his hospital records. 24-hour supervision, no visitors except family. So tell me, Mr. Crawford, how did he sign these documents? Maybe I brought them to the hospital, Crawford said quickly. There's no visitor log showing you entered that hospital during his stay. I checked. He was quiet for a long moment. What do you want? I want you to admit what you did. And if I do, then maybe, I'll consider a settlement instead of criminal charges. He laughed harshly. You think you can blackmail me? I think you're a thief who forged documents to steal a company. That's fraud, Mr. Crawford. That's a felony. It was 20 years ago. The statute of limitations is 5 years from when the fraud was discovered, not when it occurred, I interrupted. I just discovered it last week. That means we're well within the window to press charges. His face reddened. Listen to me, you little punk. Your father was a fool. He had brilliant ideas, but no business sense. I turned his mediocre startup into a multi-million-dollar company. I deserved those patents. So, you admit you took them? He stopped, realizing his mistake. You just admitted you took the patents. But they weren't legally transferred to you, were they? The paperwork was handled by lawyers, he said carefully. Lawyers you hired, using documents you provided, with signatures you forged. I didn't forge anything. Then how did my father's signature get on those transfer documents when he was unconscious in a hospital bed? Crawford's hands clenched into fists. Fine. Yes, I signed them myself. Your father was dying and someone needed to save the company. I did what was necessary. You mean you did what was profitable? For yourself. Call it what you want. It's done. And there's nothing you can do about it now. I pulled out my phone and stopped the recording. Actually, Mr. Crawford, there's plenty I can do, because you just confessed to forgery and fraud, and I recorded every word. His face went white. You recorded this? I did. And tomorrow morning, my lawyer is taking this recording, along with all the documents I found, to the district attorney. You're going to be arrested for corporate fraud, forgery, and theft. You can't. They won't. They will. Because I have proof, and I have your confession, and I'm betting once they start investigating, they'll find you've pulled this same scam on other people too. Crawford stepped toward me, and for a moment I thought he might attack me, but then he deflated. What do you want? He asked quietly. I want my family's company back. I want every dollar you made from those patents. And I want you to publicly admit what you did. Never. Then I'll see you in court, Mr. Crawford. The district attorney was very interested in my case. When Jessica Chen presented the forged documents, the hospital records, the timeline, and the recorded confession, they immediately opened an investigation into Martin Crawford. 3 weeks later, I got a call from Detective Marcus Williams. "Aiden, I wanted to give you an update," he said. "We've arrested Crawford, and we found evidence of similar fraud against 2 other business partners over the years. This man has been running the same scam for decades." "What's going to happen to him?" I asked. "He's being charged with multiple counts of fraud, forgery, and theft. With his age and the evidence against him, his lawyers are pushing for a plea deal. The DA is offering 10 years in prison if he returns all stolen assets and pays full restitution to his victims. 10 years. The same amount of time I'd spent dreaming of this moment. Will my family get the company back? The patents and company ownership will be returned to your family as part of the restitution. Crawford will also have to pay damages for 20 years of profits he earned fraudulently. The amount is substantial, over $3 million. I had to sit down. $3 million, enough to pay off Emma's mortgage, enough to finish my degree without loans, enough to invest in the future my parents never got to have. 2 months later, Martin Crawford stood in court and pleaded guilty. The judge sentenced him to 12 years in federal prison, more than the plea deal because of the multiple victims. As they led him away in handcuffs, he looked at me one last time. I felt nothing but satisfaction. After the sentencing, Emma and I met with Jessica Chen to discuss the restitution payments. "Your parents' company is legally yours now," Jessica said. "You can sell it, run it, or dissolve it. That's your choice." "What would you do?" I asked. "Your father built something special. Maybe it's time to finish what he started." Emma and I decided to rebuild Mitchell Technologies together. We hired back some of Dad's old employees who remembered him fondly. We modernized the patents he'd created, and we made sure his name was on everything. 3 months after Crawford went to prison, I stopped driving for Uber. I didn't need to anymore. Instead, I walked into our new office, Mitchell Technologies, with my father's name on the door, and I finally felt like I'd honored his memory the right way. People sometimes ask me if I forgive Martin Crawford. The answer is no. Forgiveness is for people who deserve it, and he destroyed my family for profit. He deserves every day he spends in prison, but I don't think about him anymore. I think about my parents and how proud they'd be to see what Emma and I have built. I think about justice and how sometimes, if you're patient and smart, the truth really does win. Crawford spent 20 years thinking he got away with it, but in the end, one chance encounter in an Uber changed everything. Because he taught me something valuable. The truth doesn't have an expiration date, and neither does justice. Have you ever discovered something about your past that changed your entire future? What would you do if you found out someone destroyed your family years ago? Like and subscribe for more stories about people who refused to be victims and fought back the right way.